She actually said, I can't remember a single thing about the incident. It's the first time she had spoken to anybody publicly about her injuries. So she still can't remember anything that happened, but you could see she had a really kind of quite nasty bruising to the left-hand side of her face. Apart from that, she seemed pretty chipper.
In better news for the royal household, we saw the much welcomed return of Princess Anne to public duties last Friday.
Yes, we did.
And the second public appearance in a month for the Princess of Wales at the men's Wimbledon final on Sunday with Princess Charlotte, that other keen tennis fan. So I think everyone was very, very pleased to see Catherine and Anne back in action last week.
We got very excited when Princess Royal was going to make her comeback engagement at an equestrian event because, of course,
good woman.
Her injury, back on the horse, her injuries were when she was walking around Gatcombe Park Estate, for people who don't know, 3 weeks ago on the 23rd of June, and she sustained head injuries and concussion, which are thought to have been caused by being struck by a horse's either head or legs. And even she can't remember when she turned up to the riding the Royal Association,
RDA, the
Riding for the Disabled Association,
National Championships, wasn't it?
National Championships in Gloucestershire. She actually said, I can't remember a single thing about the incident. It's the first time she had spoken to anybody publicly about her injuries. So she still can't remember anything that happened, but you could see she had a really kind of quite nasty bruising to the left-hand side of her face. Apart from that, she seemed pretty chipper. Michael Bishop, who's the chief exec of the RDA, said that she was on super form. And she was going around, she was speaking to people, and she was remembering people she had spoke to because she'd met them before, because she does so many engagements for the RDA. She's such a great advocate for them. So that was nice. She was sort of doing that Princess Anne thing that Philip used to do, where she rocks on her feet.
Yes.
On the balls of her feet.
Yeah.
And I always think she does that when she's in a kind of feeling quite chipper. So it was good. It was a truncated engagement. Supposed to be 2 hours, ended up being just under 1 hour. And she was driven there and back. She didn't get time to go and meet the horses, but
I think good on her for going out and about with a shiner.
Yes,
I mean that's punchy. She.
You know what about that, of course.
Well, I did have a slight disagreement with a racehorse earlier this year, and which then fell on me and did give me a face for radio for a while. A catastrophic black eye and knocked a tooth out. So I know what it's like to be slightly messed up by a horse, and you feel it. And I just looked at her and thought, good on you for getting out there. I was delighted that she was doing something with the RDA. I'm a volunteer for the RDA. It's an amazing organisation. The joy it brings to children and adults with all sorts of difficulties is extraordinary. And there's just a lovely anecdote about Princess Anne, that when I was researching a piece I wrote for her 70th a few years ago, I spoke to someone very senior at the RDA who remembered her coming to see, a display by some children at an RDA event. And, the children that we work with as volunteers at the RDA have all different levels of learning disabilities, on different levels, or they have different levels of autism, physical disabilities. And there was one girl there who was involved in the display, and they came to meet Princess Anne afterwards, and she was introduced to her and said, this is the Princess Royal. And she said, you don't look like a princess. And Princess Anne said, thank goodness for that. I'm so pleased to hear that. What a relief.
What a brilliant comeback.
And everyone was like, and then everyone laughed with, at her response. And she just literally takes things in her stride.
I love that kind of no-nonsense approach. And you can tell she wasn't best pleased. She's never best pleased about having the press anywhere.
No.
And one of her aides just said, let's just make sure you lot are out of eye line. So she can't see you standing there.
Well, it was very good to see her back.
It was, and it's super trooper,
yes.
Wasn't it? That's what Prince William and Catherine referred to her as when they give a kind of social media post. And I think that's what she is.
Yeah.
And, Catherine is her own super trooper as well, because she was back at Wimbledon.
What a reception she got. It was where she walked onto centre court with Princess Charlotte and her sister Pippa. Everyone stood up on centre court. It was a huge standing ovation. Yeah. She looked delighted and quite sort of emotional to see there was a sort of outpouring of emotion from people to see her. This is, again, another member of the royal family who was going through cancer treatment and was absolutely determined to be there on centre court. She couldn't make it there for the ladies' finals, and we all understand that. was there for
But
the
she
men's
did
finals.
meet the winners, though, didn't she?
She did, and Krejcikova gave her tennis racket to her, which Princess Charlotte snaffled away.
Yeah, she swiped that pretty quickly.
But she looked great. The crowd was clearly delighted to see her back out and about. And I think there was something about her presenting the trophy to Carlos Alcaraz and, talking to Novak Djokovic that just seemed to lift the whole championships.
And she said on social media, didn't she, afterwards, it's great to be back at Wimbledon. Yeah. And I think she genuinely means that, because that was the first kind of proper engagement we've seen from the princess this whole year. Okay, she was at Trooping the Colour, the King's Birthday Parade with the royal family, but this was something for her. This is her patronage. This is her kind of beat, if you like. So for her to be back out doing that job that is intrinsically hers, I think that's incredible. That's the first time we've seen that this year.
It was I think reassuring for a lot of people, and I think should have taken great comfort from the fact that people were really pleased to see her.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway.
Must have been a big boost.
Big boost.
As is tradition, the king, although he's reading out the statement from the government, there is a little personal element almost at the end, because as is tradition, the monarch looks forward at the end of that speech to any foreign tours that they've got coming up.
Yes, and he did mention one, didn't he?
He did. So he said, I look forward to our visit to Samoa alongside the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in October, and our visit to Australia. And of course, this was announced on Sunday night. That this trip that we've sort of been hearing about for a long time is actually planned. It's going to be in October, but they're going to cut it back. There won't be a further trip to New Zealand, which would have been the natural kind of progression from any trip down to Australasia. The monarch would normally see Australia and New Zealand. But that's been canned as they're still making concessions for the king's health as he recovers from cancer.